Welcome back to the Frugal Millionaires podcast, where we explore all things personal finance, self-development, and business. In today's episode, I'm going to be answering your top 7 questions that were submitted by all of you all on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The number one question is related to financial advice for women. So we're going to dive deep into that topic. Now, question number 7 is probably the most important question. So I really want you all to stay tuned for question number 7. Welcome to the Frugal Millionaires podcast, where we explore all things personal finance, self-development, and business.
So, what's the most important lesson you've learned about money during your journey?
So, the most important lesson that I've learned about money is that money is not the most important part of the equation. Money typically follows value. So, the most important thing to me that I've learned is once you create value, then money will follow. But I've seen that a lot of people struggle with creating value or understanding the process to create value. And one of the things that I've always been very interested in is solving problems. I've always went to, where are the problems? How do we get a practical solution for the problems, and how do we solve it and solve it in a sustainable way? And so a big part of creating value is problem solving. And a big part of problem solving is you have to be in a place where there's a lot of problems to be solved. So very practical, very common sense. Money typically followed problem solving, which led to value creation.
Okay, and when the value is created, that means like it's a success kind of thing, right?
So typically when you're creating value, you're typically creating value in 2 forms. Value creation is coming in the form of you've solved a problem for customers. You've created a service or you've created a product, and that product or service is sustainable, but also it's filling a gap in the market, and also it's competitively priced. And so those factors are what actually creates value, which drives the money to flow in and follow that value.
Okay, and how do you now measure your success?
Measuring success for me is one of those things that's really tricky. Being a high performer, you always tend to want to look at, the wins and losses. But I've found a very good moral metric for me, and that is based on influence and impact. So the number of people that I'm able to bless, or the number of people I'm able to impact, and that can be in several ways, whether that's the companies that we create employing people in the communities that those companies operate, or whether that's impacting those communities by giving back and partnering in several social programs. There's a lot of ways that we get involved with impact. Also, we want to influence. And so I feel good about being able to share my story, being able to share my journey, and those in the community able to benefit, to learn. And so that's where the influence part, the things that I've been able to accomplish and experience, I'm able to then share those and influence someone else's life in a positive way. So for me, measuring success comes down to impact and influence for me.
Great. And I think one of the episodes that you did, you're actually talking about like the most influential women and how like the women are getting into more entrepreneurial spaces. So like, what life or money advice would you have for women in this age and time?
Very good question. Very good question. For women in particular, I think it first starts out with being very firm in your self-identity, knowing who you are as a woman and what you stand for. I've always leaned on my uniqueness and what I bring to the table. And that's the same thing I would encourage all women. Lean on your uniqueness, because there's strength in your uniqueness and what you bring to the table. I would also give advice to women to say, when it comes down to life or money, go all in. Chase your goals, chase your dreams, and be persistent. I know there's a set of challenges that a lot of women may face that men may not face. And I just want to say, don't allow any of those challenges to be a permanent roadblock or to discourage women. For example, feeling that you're in maybe a male-dominated space. Don't let that stop you from pursuing your dreams or goals. For all of those single mothers out there, don't let that be a deterrent from you seeking your goals and your dreams. Many other challenges that I can name, but the bottom line is I would encourage all women to just be persistent and never give up on your dreams and your goals. And the third piece of advice that I would give women is that there's never been a better time than now for women to become entrepreneurs. We've done a video a few months back on women entrepreneurs and why they're needed. And so women-owned firms are thriving, and the numbers speak for, that performance of women-owned business. So I think, if you have a product, if you have a service that you can offer and you can fill a void in the market, and, you're willing to get out there and embrace entrepreneurship, and you're willing to fight for your dreams and goals. It's not going to be easy. I'm not saying it so that it will be easy for women, because it's not easy for women or anyone. But women in particular, go out there, jump into the market, go all in, and don't give up, because now is the time where women-owned businesses are thriving. So that would be my 3 pieces of advice for women on life or money.
And so, talking about still women, like what can women expect, like plugging into your platform and plugging into like the resources that you have across all social media platforms, that's like YouTube or Instagram or TikTok and Facebook? Like what can be the expectation? What should they expect from Frugal Millionaires?
Sure. There's a lot. There's a lot in store for women, and I encourage all women to tap into our platform, get connected with us on the Frugal Millionaire on the different social platforms. But in particular, the first thing that they can expect is to improve their financial literacy. That's what we're all about. That's what we're representing. And we're giving it in a very practical way to where it can be understood, it can be digested, and it can be implemented. And so that's the first thing, is to be able to enhance their financial literacy. The second thing that women can expect to receive is we're going to be giving a greater focus to women. We're going to be providing specific opportunities for women. For example, we did a pilot a few months ago, whereas we were offering free coaching and consulting to women. And so that's something else that's going to be coming up as well, where we're working with women on, whatever their aspirations are, whether that's in the corporate environment or whether that's in business and entrepreneurship. And also we're going to be working with women to understand how to understand their tax liability when it comes to their personal finance and when it comes to their business. So we're going to, really be digging into the coaching and consulting and providing some special opportunities for women. And last but not least, we're going to be having women on the Frugal Millionaires platform that are speaking to their sisters out there. So we're going to be opening up the platform to encourage diversity in what we're doing here at the Frugal Millionaires, so that women also have a voice on the Frugal Millionaires platform. So there's definitely more to come, and there's a lot more in store for women on our agenda for this year, 2024.
Great. So just a quick one. What advice do you have for anyone on how to start a profitable business? Like anyone who wants to start a business and they have an idea, like what advice do you have for them?
So anyone wanting to start a profitable business, I would say this: there's a few key things you really need to tap into. First, you really need to look within yourself. You really need to understand what entrepreneurship is, and you need to understand this is a journey. This is not something that happens overnight. This is a journey. But once you understand that, you really need to evaluate yourself. You really need to evaluate, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And in particular, your strengths, what are your skill sets? What are the things that you're good at? And you also have to be able to evaluate, what are your weaknesses, so that you can understand what are those things that maybe you need to take a course in, you need to learn more about it, or you need to outsource some of those weaknesses. So you need to really understand strengths and weaknesses. You also need to understand, are you attempting to solve a problem in the market? And you really need to have good problem solving skills. You need to have good customer service skills. You need to have good sales skills in terms of being able to fill a gap in the market. You also need to understand that whatever it is you're going after with your product or service in the market, you need to kind of have an idea and understand if consumers are willing to pay for that, and what's a competitive price. Understand pricing and sales strategy. So those are the things that I would say that are really important. And this last final tip pulls it all together. You need to really have passion for what you're doing. Passion doesn't mean that you're going to be happy with what you're doing every single day. No, that's not. Passion means you've got to be able to get up and you got to do this every single day, regardless of how you feel. When you're sick, you got to go. When you don't feel good, you got to go. When it's raining outside, you got to go. When it's sunny outside, you got to go. So you really got to have that type of internal passion to really be able to create what I would call a sustainable and profitable business venture.
Okay, great. So how can someone become more frugal immediately? And is it possible to become frugal immediately?
Yeah, becoming more frugal. Well, first off, frugal is a lifestyle. And in order for it to be a lifestyle, there's a changing of behavior. But before you can change behavior, you have to change mindset. And so becoming more frugal really, in my opinion, starts with the mindset of saying, my end result is here. I'm currently right here. What are the things that I need to do immediately right now that are within my control? So if I control it, then I can implement it right now. If it's externally controlled, then I may not be able to implement that right now. So some of the things that you can do, I'll get 3 things that you can do right now is that you can make a decision right now, anyone to say, I'm going to live below my means. You can do that right now today. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort to be able to do that. You just have to make a conscious decision to say, below my means consists of me not going out socially, hanging out during entertainment or family functions. I cut that off immediately. Me living below my means means that I'm now going to buy the things that I need. And then I'll look at if there's an opportunity to consider the wants. The third thing is you have to establish a budget. So you have to get on a budget and live within your budget. Don't go over your budget. So those 3 things are things you can do right now as an individual, and you can implement that as soon as possible.
Great. So maybe there's someone who really doesn't want to be frugal, but they would like to maybe just upgrade their financial life, their financial part of their life. So how does someone do that? How does someone upgrade their financial lifestyle?
Got you. So really upgrading your financial situation really composes of 3 things. One, you have to really have a thorough understanding of your income, the income that you're coming in, that you have coming in. So that's really understanding if you're working a job, then you really need to understand your payroll and you need to understand all of the deductions. Are you able to save money by just eliminating some deductions? Are you able to save money by adjusting some of the withholdings that's coming from your payroll? So that's one thing that I always encourage people to start with, is start with your payroll and look at that, because 9 times out of 10, when we sit down with individuals and we look at their pay statement, we find opportunities for them to save money immediately. That's the first thing. The second way you can enhance your financial situation is you need to avoid accumulating any new debt. So you avoid accumulating any new debt and you focus on really paying off the existing debt that you have. And there's a method, it's called a snowball method, that I'm sure many folks are familiar with, to where you accelerate paying off those higher interest rates, debts and smaller balances quicker, so that you can get most of your debts paid off. And then the third thing I would say to immediately upgrade your financial situation is to get on a budget and stick to that budget. I've heard so many people talk about the constraints of a budget, but a budget is designed for boundaries, and we all need boundaries in our financial situation. But those boundaries are not constraints. I see them as healthy. And, everyone's budget is going to be different based on their, financial situation. But I encourage everyone to get on a budget, and not only get on a budget, but stick to that budget, because you should be able to see results from your budget within the first month. There you have it, Frugal Millionaires family. I hope you got something of value out of today's interview questions. If you did, do me a favor and share this video with someone you know who needs to hear this information. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this episode. And also smash that like button for me. I would really appreciate that. And if you're not yet a subscriber to the channel, please consider subscribing to Frugal Millionaires. Feel free to drop us a comment and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Frugal Millionaires. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.